This story recounts the experience of Dani Bahari, a survivor of the tsunami tragedy in Aceh. It also tells of his mystical encounter a week after the tsunami. The Aceh Tsunami tragedy occurred on December 26, 2004, caused by a shallow undersea earthquake with a magnitude of approximately 9.3. It resulted in the deaths and disappearances of around 167,000 people. It became one of the most devastating and somber tragedies for us, the people of Indonesia. Saturday, January 1, 2005. Exactly 1 week after the tsunami, my mother and I returned home from the evacuation site. My 2 older siblings didn't come along because they chose to stay at the shelter. From the evacuation camp, we rode in a pickup truck used to transport goods. But to reach our house, we still had to walk for about 20 minutes through the village. Along the way, all I saw were fallen trees, collapsed houses, and many corpses that had not yet been evacuated by the volunteer teams. I stared at one corpse. It was wearing a red nightgown and was covered in dirt. As I was staring at the body, suddenly my mother said, "Don't look, dear. They won't bother us. They were good people." Then we arrived at our house. I saw that our home had been leveled to the ground, and nothing was left. Everything had been swept away by the current. I saw my mother's eyes welling up with tears as she said, "Everything your father left us is gone, dear." We immediately began cleaning up. My mother said we would sleep there that night, and the volunteer team helped us set up a tent and other necessities. That night, I clearly remember what happened. While my mother was praying, I stepped out of the tent. Suddenly, I heard a baby crying. The crying sounded so sorrowful, as if the baby was in pain. Without thinking, I ran to my mother and said, "Mom, there's a baby crying outside." "That's impossible, dear. I haven't heard anything at all," she replied. I decided to ignore the sound, thinking it might have just been my imagination. Around 10 p.m., when we were asleep, I woke up needing to pee. I gathered the courage to step outside the tent to relieve myself, and there I saw 2 women, an old lady and a young girl wearing a white hijab. The old woman seemed angry at the girl. If I remember correctly, she said, "The sea rose because of too much sin." Before I could even pee, they both turned to look at me. I ran back into the tent and woke my mother, telling her everything. But again she said, "Stop imagining things, dear." I stayed quiet and decided not to go outside to pee anymore. The next morning I wet the bed. My mom was furious. Who wouldn't be angry? I was already 6 years old, but still wet the bed. All I could say was, "But I told you I didn't want to pee outside because I was scared of the old lady." Suddenly, my mother fell silent and said, "Grandma Panjo?" "Who is Grandma Panjo, Mom?" I asked. "Never mind. Go take a bath. You smell like pee," she replied. So I took a bath, using water from the well. The well had survived and was still usable even now. While I was bathing, I caught a fishy smell, probably remnants of the tsunami water. As long as I get clean, I said to myself. After bathing, I went out to play. I ran into my friend Rafli, the one I owed money to, since his family was well off. A day before the tsunami, I borrowed money from him and forgot to pay it back. But to my surprise, he told me not to worry about it. "I've let it go. Just keep it," he said. That day, I saw many vehicles carrying bodies passing by. There were still several victims who hadn't been found, and some never were. That afternoon, after playing, I returned to my mother's tent. I saw her crying near the well. She said that many of her friends had died. Many of our relatives had also passed away. Later that night, I heard the sound of a crying baby again. But this time, the sound was soft. My mother heard it too. She said, "Don't be afraid, just pray." I obeyed, and then we got ready to sleep. In the middle of the night, my mother woke up. She peeked out through a gap in the tent and said, "Grandma Panjo?" Then she went back to sleep. That night, I didn't get the chance, and didn't dare, to ask who Grandma Panjo was. The next day, I met Rafli's parents. They were crying, and told me that Rafli had passed away. I was shocked. Hadn't we just played together yesterday? I tried to explain to his mother, but she said, "My husband and I were the ones who buried his body." Then my mom said, "Sorry, kids don't know any better," while holding my hand and telling me to follow her. "Let's go home." When we got back to the tent, I asked, "Mom, didn't I play with Rafli yesterday?" She looked surprised. Yesterday you were talking to yourself. I didn't see anyone with you. The next day my mother forbade me from playing alone. So that whole day, I stayed by her side wherever she went. That day, my mom was out collecting firewood near the forest. Suddenly, there were a lot of termites swarming around me, and I smelled a faint stench of urine. At first, my mother ignored it. While picking up firewood, she spotted a human leg. It turned out to be a tsunami victim, and the body was already starting to decompose. My mother then reported it to the volunteer team so they could evacuate the body as soon as possible. A few hours later, we returned to the tent. I saw a red soccer jersey near our tent. It looked exactly like the one Rafli wore when we played together yesterday. I quickly hid the shirt so my mom wouldn't find out. If she knew, she would definitely forbid me from playing again. Then I asked for permission to go to the well. My plan was to throw the shirt away. But in the end, I couldn't bring myself to do it. It was my friend's shirt. Even now, I still keep that shirt. I thought of it as a memento from him. That night, once again, I heard the sound of a crying baby. It was just like the night before. My mom was watching me closely. She was suspicious, as if she knew I was hiding something, and she was right. I glanced at the shirt I had found earlier. Okay, I need to be honest, I said to myself. I finally told my mom, Mom, I found Rafli's shirt near the tent. It's the same one he wore when we played yesterday. My mom smiled and said, all right, just keep it. That night, I gathered the courage to ask her, Mom, who is Grandma Panjo really? She only replied, she's a good person, dear. But it's not time for you to know about her yet. Then we went back to sleep. The next day, I washed Rafli's shirt myself. I dried it, folded it neatly, but I didn't want to wear it. I was afraid Rafli's mother might see it and ask for it back. Later that day, volunteers came with more aid. They gave us canned food, instant noodles, and toiletries. That same day, my 2 older siblings came back from the evacuation site. They came to our tent, and I rushed to tell them everything strange that had happened here. But instead of being scared like I was, they just laughed and didn't believe a word I said. All right then, just wait. Tonight you'll see for yourselves, I thought to myself. Night fell, and once again, the sound of a crying baby echoed. I heard it clearly, and quickly woke my brother. Did you hear that? I asked. Hear what? He replied, half asleep. There, the sound of a baby crying, I whispered in his ear. No, I don't hear anything, he answered. We kept arguing until my mom and my oldest brother woke up. My mom asked, what's going on? That crying sound is back, Mom. The same baby from last night. But my mom just gave me a sharp look and said, enough. Go to sleep. We obeyed and went back to sleep, but the sound of the crying baby kept ringing in my ears. The next day, while I was playing with my brother, I found a toy car made from pomelo peel. It looked like it had just been made. I took the car to play with. Meanwhile, my brother was called by my mom to fetch some drinking water. I brought the toy car back to the tent and showed it to my mom. Inside the tent were my mom and brother. Mom, I got a new toy, I said. But instead of being happy, they all stared at me. I was confused. Why were they all looking at me like that? My mom immediately grabbed my hand and threw the toy away. Then she gave me a bath, while reciting holy prayers that I didn't understand. I was just confused that day. After the bath, I ran to my brother. Why did Mom throw away my toy? Toy? That wasn't a toy. That was a red nightgown covered in dirt. Mom already threw it away. Suddenly, I remembered the corpse I had seen on the way home after the tsunami. I burst into tears. My older brother asked, why are you crying? I didn't want to tell him. I cried non-stop, until my brother gave me some instant noodles. I ate them raw, just like that, uncooked. Well, I was just a kid after all. That afternoon, my mom, brother, and I went out again to gather firewood in the forest. This time, my brother carried me on his back. I fell asleep on his shoulder. In my sleep, I dreamed of meeting Grandma Panjo. She spoke to me. You are my grandchild. Don't forget to pray, okay? Suddenly, I was woken up by my brother. He said we had arrived back at the tent. That night, I told my mom about the dream, but she still wouldn't explain who Grandma Panjo really was. We eventually went to sleep, but in the middle of the night, I woke up because I heard someone calling me from outside. Dani, let's play. I heard the voice clearly. I was absolutely sure it was Rafli's voice. Excited, I got up and stepped out of the tent, but just then, my mother grabbed my hand. "Where are you going?" "Going to play with Rafli?" she asked. Everyone woke up. Then my mom told my brother to get the holy book. She began to read verses aloud to me. That's when it really hit me. Rafli was already dead. The next day, my mom said, "We're going back to the evacuation center. Pack all the food. We'll sleep there tonight." I refused. I cried. I didn't want to stay in the evacuation shelter. No way was I going back there. It was hot there, with no wind. Since my house was near the beach, there was always a nice breeze. I cried loudly at that moment, while also thinking about how I could avoid going back to the shelter. Then my mom said, "Okay, we'll stay in the tent. But you're not allowed to be far from Mama. Got it?" "Yes, Mom." I went quiet, and from that day on, I followed my mom wherever she went. That night in the tent, there were only 3 of us, me and my 2 older siblings. My mom had gone off somewhere. Around 10 p.m., she came back to the tent carrying food. She told me to eat a layered cake. I remember very well. It tasted bitter. We all ate, except me. "Why aren't you eating the cake, sweetheart?" "It's bitter, Mom." Both of my siblings ate enthusiastically. They even ate my portion too. After that, we got ready to sleep. I noticed that my mom wasn't asleep yet, so I started chatting with her. "Mom, why aren't you sleeping yet?" "I'm not sleepy yet, honey." "Oh yeah, when you were playing with Raffi, what did he say?" "He just said he forgave my debt, Mom." I owed him something back then. He said I didn't have to pay it back. Then we played with sticks. My mom looked worried. She quickly tucked me in and hugged me. Then she said, "It's late now, go to sleep." The next day, while my sibling and I were cooking instant noodles, a religious leader came to our tent. He was wearing traditional cleric clothing, and he looked at me with sharp, cold eyes. Suddenly, I woke up from my bed in confusion. My body felt a little feverish, and I cried hard at that moment. I overheard a bit of what the cleric said. He said, "This child is being watched over by something. Be careful. Don't let him go anywhere until the one guarding him leaves." Then the cleric left. Not long after, my mom gave me food, and I was really hungry. She said I had been unconscious for nearly 5 hours since the cleric stared at me that afternoon. Around dusk, my mom went to ask for a bit of cooking oil. In the tent, it was just the 3 of us, me and my 2 siblings. Once again, I saw Grandma Panjo standing right behind my sibling. I didn't want to tell them, because I knew they wouldn't believe me. I spaced out, just staring at Grandma Panjo. Suddenly, my sibling said, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" I just shook my head. I didn't want to look at her anymore. At the same time, my mom came back. She immediately hugged me and said, "Mama's little one, don't cry anymore, okay?" Long story short, night came again. I kept crying, and for some reason, I really wanted to play with the toy car I found yesterday, the one made out of pomelo peel. My mom immediately slapped me. "Who are you? Don't bother my child. He doesn't know anything. He's just a kid." I stayed silent that night. My body felt hot, and my mom quickly took me to the Indonesian Red Cross post. They gave me medicine, and I slept soundly that night. The next day, a storm hit. Our tent almost collapsed. I wasn't allowed to leave the tent. I just stayed still, while the 3 of them held up the tent poles to keep it from falling. The storm eventually passed, and they sent out all the wet clothes. I still wasn't allowed to go outside. The day went by quickly. When night came, my fever came back. But this time, I felt cold. I didn't remember anything that night. The next morning, they told me I had been delirious, calling out my father's name. They said I kept saying, "I want to go with Dad. It's so hot here." My mom immediately called the same religious leader as before, but I don't really remember what happened that night. By morning, my fever had gone down. Like most kids, I like to run around. When I was playing near the tent, I heard Rafli's voice again. "Dani, let's play. Let's go to the sea. Let's look for white seashells." The voice was coming from the direction of the sea. I ignored it, because I knew Rafli had already died. And then I shouted as loud as I could, "No, you're not my friend anymore." Suddenly, my mom hugged me and began reciting verses from the Holy Book. That same day, my mom asked my older brother to find Grandpa Beard. He took a pickup truck to the city area, since that's where Grandpa lived, and we were close to him. According to my brother, during the trip, it felt like something was following him. A monkey, but with white fur. He noticed it by looking in the rearview mirror. The monkey was jumping around at the back of the truck. He ignored it and kept looking for Grandpa Beard. Eventually, he found him at the city evacuation shelter. Before my brother even said why he was there, Grandpa already knew. Your little brother, right?
Yes, Grandpa.
They rushed straight to our tent. When I saw Grandpa Beard, I immediately hugged him, but he pushed me away, as if he really hated me that day. He stared into my eyes with a cold look. That night, Grandpa Beard stayed over in our tent. He didn't sleep. He sat outside, keeping watch. It seemed like he was talking to someone outside, though I couldn't hear what was being said. I didn't know who he was talking to. I thought it was my mom, but she was right next to me and not speaking. I eventually ignored it. The next morning, my mom bathed me at the well. The religious leader came again and spoke to Grandpa Beard. Then, for some reason, they both looked at me. I was told to perform ablution and go into the tent. Again, I was read verses from the Holy Book. It felt like I was already dead, I thought to myself. I was confused that day. After they finished praying, we came out, and Grandpa Beard asked my brother, "When you went to the city to find me, did you see a white-furred monkey?" "Yes, I did, Grandpa," my brother replied. "That was Panjo's form," Grandpa Beard said. "She's a good spirit. She was protecting you the whole way." "Is my child free now, Grandpa?" my mom asked. "Thank God, yes. Hopefully nothing will bother him again," he replied. Suddenly, my mom entered the tent and brought out Rafli's red t-shirt. "My child wants this shirt. Is it safe?" Grandpa Beard held the shirt and stared at it for a long time. But I snatched it away while yelling, "Don't throw it away. It belongs to my friend." Grandpa Beard knelt in front of me and gently stroked my head. "All right, if you want to keep it, go ahead." He stood up, looked at my mom, and nodded, signaling that the shirt was safe. That day, both the religious leader and Grandpa Beard left, leaving the four of us at the tent. Then, Mom told the three of us that we'd be returning to the evacuation center that day. No one dared argue. Not even me. There, we slept in a large room, together with other evacuees. Since that day, I never saw anything strange again, though I still have many questions. To this day, I'm still sometimes confused, but I no longer dare to ask my mom about it. About 6 months later, we returned to our village. Things had changed a bit. Trees were growing again, and the sea had become clear at last. We had a home again, after 1 year since the Aceh Tsunami. The sorrowful memories of being separated from family and loved ones still linger vividly in our hearts. This is the true story of Dani Bahari. There are a few things we can discuss here. First, was the old woman Dani first met with the woman in the white headscarf actually Grandma Panjo? Or was she just another survivor like Dani? Second, who was the baby whose cries Dani kept hearing at night? And why was Dani haunted by that sound? Third, why did Rafli, Dani's friend who died in the tsunami, keep asking Dani to come with him? Was it because of the debt, or was there another reason? And lastly, it's revealed at the end of the story that Dani might have been possessed. The question is, when did the possession begin? Was it when he first saw Rafli, or when he saw the corpse for the first time? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments.